Wow. Definitely uses those.
These bolts are just caked in dirt.
And that weak point is right here.
Say hello to my little friend.
It's one thing to build a Jeep. It's totally another thing to use a Jeep.
Welcome back to the channel, folks. Today we are going to be discussing a very common issue that a lot of people bump into when upgrading or lifting their 2018 or newer Jeep Wrangler or Jeep Gladiator or so on and so forth. You know what? Ignore what's behind me. We're going to talk about that here in just a little bit. In fact, today we're actually going to be talking about this guy instead. So we're working on a 2021 Jeep Gladiator Rubicon. Love this Jeep, mainly because this guy uses it. And I'll show you what I mean here in just a second. But because he uses it, he finds that there are things that do need to be upgraded. So we're going to talk about that today. So stick around. A lot of information to cover, but I think you're really going to enjoy it. This is the front drive shaft that you'll find either in your JL Wrangler or your JT Gladiator. Now, Chrysler built it quite strong. This is actually a very rugged piece of equipment that's in your vehicle. But if you lift your Jeep higher than 2.5 inches, or you're running tires bigger than 37 inches, then there's a weak point on this that is actually going to fail. And that weak point is right here. So what they decided to do is make this a CV style end with a very tiny shaft. This side is what bolts up against the transfer case. If you have too high of an angle on your lift, then this is bent too far down. Or if you are turning tires, like I said, that are bigger than 37 inches, then the amount of torque that's necessary that transfers through this unit to your front axle to spin this, both of them can cause major failures right here at this joint. So as a point of preventative maintenance on this particular Rubicon, we are going to replace this guy with a heavy duty style aftermarket front drive shaft that can take the abuse. All right, so we got a new driveline. This is from Adams Driveline, which if you have the opportunity, they are probably one of the best in the country at building new drivelines. But you can see comparatively side by side, we're pretty much the same length. We're not really changing the overall length, but we are changing the design huge. One thing to note, Chrysler's slip joint is underneath this little piece of rubber. It's only about this long, and it's that size, so it's very thin. The slip yoke that Adams uses is splined, and it's twice as long to allow much further extension on the front drive shaft, which is also very handy to have when you have a long travel lift, is you want that drive shaft to be able to flow. Now, this end here, this matches side by side. This is going to bolt directly to the Dana 44 or the Dana 30 or M220 axle, whichever one you have up front. This is going to bolt directly to it. The biggest change is going to be by the transfer case. Now remember, we mentioned that this is the weak point, okay? So the new design has what's called a double cardigan style or dual universal joints to basically make this strong enough to handle the torque and the extreme angle that would be necessary for a much higher lift.
Now, I know that you had mentioned a few moments ago about getting the factory bolts out of that.
Mm-hmm.
How was that for you, Benny?
I have to unlock it, lock it, unlock it, lock it.
Spin it.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah. Extraneous pain. Now, if you go ahead and look on these, they are caked in this green Loctite. Comes factory on many vehicles, almost every vehicle actually, to prevent bolts coming back out and vibrating loose. Well, with this one specifically, the angle that you actually have to get to these bolts without stripping these specialty bolts, it's almost impossible to do it without having to get up every few seconds to go ahead, unlock the drive line, redo it, because if you don't lock this drive line and put it in four-wheel drive, you're fighting against these bolts yourself, and you have no amount of actual torque to get these off.
Say hello to my little friend.
Now, in order to install this, because as you can see, we do not look the same, you do have to replace the yoke on the transfer case itself, which we'll get to here momentarily.
What you doing, Benny?
I am taking off the yoke with this fancy-dancy Cornwell puller that actually is amazing for this type of application, because just a few quick turns and it comes out as easy as that. Ain't that something? That is what we just pulled out of the transfer case, and that is what we are replacing with the brand new upgraded part from Adam's driveline.
We're not saying that this is a necessary upgrade. Most guys wait until the front drive shaft actually fails in order to do it. But it is definitely something that I would consider sooner as opposed to later, because believe me, in the middle of an obstacle on a hard trail, you do not want this particular part of your driveline to fail and end up in a situation where you may not be able to get back to town. All right, what's behind the plastic, you might ask? Okay, well, that is a sneak preview for the finale of a video series to come. You want to see? Look at that. Tell me that's not beautiful. But that's it. That's all you get. I'm not going to talk about it. You got to stay tuned for that video to see the final reveal of what she's going to be when it's all done. Listen, folks, we did not go through all of that just to simply point out you should replace your front drive shaft. We were simply pointing out another weak link in Chrysler's driveline that works perfectly fine for a completely stock setup. But if you're going to modify the vehicle, there are things that need to be beefed up, and the front driveline is certainly one of them. So, like I said, Adam's driveline, probably one of the best in the country, but there are multiple different options that are out there. I'm not here necessarily pushing a particular brand or a shop in order to build it, but I am going to say from experience, it's really not a bad idea. Get that factory front drive shaft out of there, put a stronger one in there, and just have the peace of mind of knowing that at least that is one point that is not going to fail while you are out on the trail. Anything else to say, Benny?
Sparkles out.
Sparkles out. Nice. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, my name is Josh. If you have any questions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to put that down in the description below this video. There are several other links down there that you can certainly check out. Our educational program, our shop here at J4B Overland Solutions, and a couple of the other really cool promotions that we've got going on right now. I'm not going to talk about them. Go ahead, check it out for yourself. But in the meantime, folks, please stay safe, happy Jeeping, and we will see you next time.
It's one thing to have skid plates on your differential, but wow, definitely uses those. Yep, every one of them has marks. I love it. That means actual usage. Look at all those marks.